open at 10:30am. I commence today's meeting by acknowledging the traditional owners of the land on which we meet today, the Nyiyaparli people, and their continuing connection to the land, waters and community. I also acknowledge the Madu people as the custodians of Jigalong, which sits in Nyiyaparli country. We pay our respects to all elders, past, present and emerging. May I ask everyone present this morning to turn off and refrain from using their mobile phones for the duration of the meeting. Tablets and laptops are permitted for the purpose of accessing agenda items and notes. I advise all those in attendance that this meeting is being audio recorded, which can be accessed by members of the public and the media, and council members should refrain from making any defamatory statements. This meeting is also being live streamed. Members of the public are advised that anyone who has an application lodged with the Shire of East Pilbara must obtain and should only rely on written confirmation of the outcome of the application and any conditions attached to the decision made by the Shire of East Pilbara in respect of the application. Item 2, attendance by electronic means. There is none. Record of attendance, apologies and absences, which will be recorded. Under 3.2, we have apologies from Stephen Harding and Sheree Delmage. A nil leave of absence for 3.3. Disclosure of interest. Are there any disclosure of interest to be made in relation to any of today's agenda items, councillors? Councillor Bear.
Yes, I have a disclosure of interest, item 16.1.4. My disclosure is an indirect financial and I will leave the room.
Thank you.
I have a disclosure of interest in items 7 and 8, public question and petitions and deputations, and in confidential item 16.1.4, it's a financial interest on the basis that a closely associated person of mine does have a financial interest.
Thank you. Item 5, declarations by council members to have given due consideration to all matters contained within business paper before the meeting. All council members present to read the following declaration. I've given due consideration to all matters that are contained in business papers before this meeting. Councillor McWhirter-Brooks.
Councillor McWhirter-Brooks, I have given due consideration to all matters contained in the business papers before this meeting, 15th of December.
Thank you. Councillor Anderson.
I've given due consideration to all matters contained in the business papers before this meeting.
Thank you. Councillor Peter Bear.
I have given due consideration to all matters contained in the business papers before this meeting.
Councillor Dave Everett.
I have given due consideration to all matters contained in the business papers before the meeting.
Thank you. Councillor Dave Cooler.
I've given due consideration to all matters contained in the business paper before the meeting.
Thank you. Councillor Lou Lockyer.
I've given due consideration to all matters contained in the business papers before the meeting.
Thank you. Councillor Annabelle Landy. Thank you. I also have given due consideration to all matters contained in the business papers before this meeting. Moving on to item 6, response to previous questions taken on notice. There is none. Item 7, public question time. There is none received for today's meeting. Item 8, petitions, deputations and presentations. A request to bring deputation to council from Weldon Percy on behalf of Fortescue Helicopters Proprietary Limited has been received in relation to item 16.1.4 of the agenda, which relates to consideration of a submission on the proposed disposal of land at the Newman Airport. The request is accepted in accordance with the Shire of East Pilbara meeting procedures local law. The item concerned is a confidential late report that council will need to resolve to consider. As a result of the confidentiality of the report, I would ask for a mover and a seconder to allow council to hear Mr Percy's deputation behind closed doors in accordance with section 5.232 of the Local Government Act 1995. Can I get a mover, please? Councillor Lockyer, thank you. Seconder? Councillor Cooler, thank you. I shall now put this one to the vote. 8 for, none against. It is carried. So thank you. We'll now go to the confidential agendas for those that are there. I would ask other members, no, there's no other members, the public, and those councillors declaring interests, we'll ask you to come back in at its conclusion. The time is 10:35 a.m.
No worries. Thanks.
Can you just confirm, Josh, that the live stream's been stopped? Okay. Excellent. Thank you very much. We shall move on to item 9, application for leave of absence. No requests for leave of absence were received for today's meeting. Are there any further requests for leave of absence?
Just want to confirm that our next meeting will be in February, is that correct?
That is correct. There's a chance that there may be a special meeting in late January, possibly the 25th, but we haven't got anything for the agenda as yet, but we're sort of notionally thinking that it is possible.
All right.
But yeah, the next scheduled meeting is, and I'll just check the date for you, is the 23rd of February.
Yeah, I may need to, depending on circumstances, during the next month, so, but I'll let you know.
Let me know.
Thank you.
Excellent. Okay, thank you. Any other leave of absence required? Nope. Shall move on to confirmation of previous minutes. So 10.1 minutes of the ordinary council meeting held on the 24th of November have been published on the Shire's website and uploaded to the council portal. So as presented before you, the officer's recommendation reads that the ordinary and confidential minutes of ordinary council meeting held on 24 November 2023 be confirmed as true and correct record of proceedings. Can I please get a mover? Councillor Greta Brooks, thank you. Seconder? Yep, Councillor Everett, thank you. Councillors, are there any changes that you wish to take place? Thank you. I shall now put this to the vote. Eight zero. Item is carried. Item 11, members' reports. Council members' written reports will be included in the minutes. Are there any further members' reports for this meeting, please? Nope. Moving on to item 12.1, the Chief Executive Officer. So 12.1.1, the status of council decisions. Sorry.
Do we have items for notice? Does that go after reports? Huh? Not in this agenda.
Under members' reports, used to be.
So
Been changed.
So that incorporates all members' reports now.
Can we return to members' report? Can I move that we return to members' reports, please?
Yep. Granted. Let's go.
Thank you. Just to items, what I've been up to, I went to State Council and then to PDC meeting earlier this week. One of the things that have emerged out of that is that the awareness that we do have a state and a federal election coming up within the next 14 months. So what's going to happen is in 6 months' time, ministers are all going to, and local members are all going to be out there granting election promises and collecting items to be promising on. So the advice that I was given was to sharpen your pencils wherever you are and put in some bids for your substantial grants. The PDC administers and acquits the election promise grants, and they don't. PDC does not have an appetite for acquitting $1,000 grants. You're better off applying for $5,000 or going the whole hog. So that's election, and then federally there's going to be money around as well on the back of or on the front of that federal election. The Minister for Regional Development, Minister Don Punch, does have monies that have been not applied for in a variety of grant fundings. So and in RED grant fundings, there's spare money in that pool. So it's likely that leading into this next election, the RED grant funding is going to be almost twice as much as it has been. So it's usually been a pool of between $3 and $4 million for its regional economic development grants. So if you have an idea or your club or has some concept for stimulating the economy, and certainly for the Shire, that pool is likely to be almost double that $3 or $4 million amount. That's the suggestion. It's not a confirmation that it is, but it is a suggestion. So again, if you've got an idea for a grant that's going to stimulate economics, sharpen your pencils and start getting ready for when they ask. You're shovel ready and you can pitch something to them. So, and that's for all of your organisations as well. I'd like also to recommend that we ask the chair of the board of PDC, Terry Hill, to come and speak to us early next year. We do have a meeting of PDC scheduled for late in the year, and I'm sure he will present, or the new CEO will present to us at that time. The new CEO will be announced at the end of January is the expectation. So it would be great if they could each come and present, but Terry certainly, and I'm going to suggest to Terry Hill as the chair that when they come to Newman for their meeting, instead of having the dinner like we did at Seasons last time they visited, that we contact the NCCI and they could hold a business after hours and PDC could present on those grant opportunities and support opportunities. One other thing that I think is important for us to be aware of is that the PDC conducted a thing they called a cumulative study in Karratha. City of Karratha gave some money to PDC to conduct this economic study. A cumulative study is about the future impacts of developing industries and developing needs that a shire will require. That has been extremely informative and extremely successful for both PDC and the City of Karratha, and Emma could speak to the impact of this cumulative impact study, because it has bucked what the previous predictions have been. The previous predictions have said there is just a trend line for growth. The cumulative study has shown evidence that it's not a trend line for growth. We've got spikes because the development out there with all the new energy industries that are happening is significant. The suggestion is that we try and get the PDC to repeat that study, because they've already done the framework. They can repeat that study in all of the major centres and some of the minor centres that we expect there'll be some change across the Pilbara. So that's for us. If we want them to do something like that to inform us here at council level, then we should be pitching to the PDC for them to do a cumulative study, at least on Newman, but you know, we may see some other opportunities for growth across the shire. So, and that for us out here, we've got the mining stuff, but there's also the tourism. Thank you very much, President.
Thank you. We'll move on to item 12.1.1, the status of council decisions. As presented before you, the officer's recommendation reads that council notes the report. Can I please get a move for 12.1.1? Councillor Bear, thank you. Seconder, Councillor Anderson, thank you. Would the mover like to speak?
No, thank you.
Seconder?
No, thank you.
Does any councillor wish to speak?
No, thank you.
Thank you. I shall now put item 12.1.1 to the vote. And we have 8-0. Item is carried. The next item is extraordinary election East Ward, 12.1.2. As presented before you, the officer's recommendation reads that council, 1, declare in accordance with section 4.204 of the Local Government Act 1995, the electoral commissioner to be responsible for the conduct of the extraordinary election. 2, decide in accordance with section 4.612 of the Local Government Act 1995 that the method of conducting the extraordinary election will be as an in-person election. And 3, accepts the estimate of the electoral commission approximately $65,000, including GST, for the conduct of the election, and will consider the additional budget allocation in February 2024 budget review. Can I get a mover, please? Councillor McWhirter-Brooks, thank you. Seconder, Councillor Cooler. Would the mover like to speak?
No, thank you.
Councillor Cooler.
Nothing to add, thanks.
Does any councillor wish to speak? Thank you. Please note this is an absolute majority decision of council. We'll put this to the vote. Eight zero. Item is carried. The next item is 12.1.3, the Newman Airport Lighting Upgrade Project. Approval to reallocate previously approved provisional sum amounts. As presented before, the officer's recommendation reads that Council approves the reallocation of previously approved individual provisional sums items to include a provisional sum line item for the installation of new poles, cables and trenches, including directional drilling and power upgrades if required, to the amount of $395,000 excluding GST, with nil net financial impact on the contract price of $3,351,984.42 excluding GST, and variation price of $150,000 excluding GST. Can I please get a mover? Thank you, Councillor Lockyer. Seconder, Councillor Everett. Would the mover like to speak?
No.
Thank you. The seconder.
No, thank you.
Thank you. Would any other councillor wish to speak? I shall now put item 12.1.3 to the vote. We're waiting for one. Thank you. 8-0. Item is carried. Next item is 12.1.4, the Newman Chamber of Commerce and Industry sponsorship request for 2024. As presented before you, the officer's recommendation reads that Council approves in principle the request from Newman Chamber of Commerce and Industry for sponsorship funding of $10,000 cash for the Newman Business Excellence Awards 2024, subject to the adoption of the 2024-25 annual financial budget. Can I please get a mover? Councillor Lockyer, thank you. Seconder? Councillor Bear. Would the mover like to speak?
I just have one question, just a question and might have follow-up question. Just around the bit where it says the introduction of the award force platform, is that their software that they're wanting to use, or is it something that we've recommended that they use?
That would be their own software.
And is that to upskill the nomination process of the business awards, or is it something that they're using outside as a tool to help businesses ongoing?
Probably can't give you a specific answer, but I would suggest it's probably an administrative way of streamlining their processes.
So was that a question around the business award allocations? Yeah, so it was done externally this year, I do know that.
Yeah, so if it's the same thing that they used last year, I would probably not recommend, because I don't think it was suitable for, and I understand the purpose, but from the public's perspective, it was really hard for anyone to nominate using that platform. So I don't think the training was as robust as it should be. And I think it's way too detailed. Like, it asks for financial reports, all of that, from a public member nominating a business. So I'm really interested to know if that's part of it. If it is, I'd probably not support unless it comes with upskilling all the businesses that are part of that. Their sort of, committee.
Thank you.
So it does refer to in the report that it will be providing the upskilling of those on how to review and in particular the business part of that platform.
Yeah, thank you. I think if it is the same software, then we can't dictate what they use it for or not, and hopefully that I'd still support it. I think it's really good that we do need to give this opportunity to our local businesses around this, because I believe it's in line with other Chamber of Commerce and what they use. However, I think then there has to be a really proactive approach from the Chamber of Commerce to make sure that the public know this, because there was a lot of issues last year this year, and I think it wasn't as good as it could be.
Noted, we can make that the condition of providing that funding, and that they would have to acquit against that as well.
Pardon? I just suggested that you move that as an My suggestion is that you move that as an amendment, because that makes sense to me, that you amend the motion to include that condition.
Can we do that
Yes.
on sponsorships? Your request? Okay.
Absolutely.
Yeah, all right. Well, I do. I move to amend that there's conditions attached to their sponsorship request to outline the type of training and upskilling that they're offering to businesses and the public.
Thank you. Councillor Bear is a seconder. Do you approve of that amendment?
Yeah, I'll support the amendment.
Excellent, thank you.
Am I allowed to speak now on the matter?
Sorry, have you finished, Councillor Lockyer?
Yep, I finished.
Thank you. Yes, Councillor Bear, please go ahead as a seconder.
I echo similar comments to Councillor Lockyer. Having used the platform this year, the process was much more extensive, and the feedback that I received from other community members and business owners is that the process it's too long and too confusing for a small business working from home to complete financials and business plans and talk about their business in such a way. And also it limited the ability for the community to nominate organisations because it really relied on the business itself to complete a nomination. And so where they've said the methodology provides nominees with the upskilling of how to critically review their businesses, is it the methodology or are they actually providing training for the businesses to actually complete that application? Because I think that the idea of the Award Force platform is great because they will, they switch judging with another Chamber of Commerce. I believe this year we switched with another organisation, so it's independent, which is great. And then I think also the winners automatically go forward into a WA award or a regional award category, which I think is wonderful. It's an awesome opportunity for the town, but the process wasn't seamless and it wasn't as good as it has been in previous years. And so I haven't seen the budget obviously for what they've submitted, but usually we give them about $5,000 in our sponsorships. This is a $5,000 increase. Is there $5,000 of value coming from that Award Force platform? Is there $5,000 worth of training or other things that we're giving them that money for? And I know they obviously have to acquit it, and having not seen the budget of what that sort of $5,000 difference is, I would definitely support putting conditions on it so that we're clear that that's what we want out of that extra $5,000. We want them to be providing that training as opposed to just the platform itself being the not the methodology being the thing that's providing the training, but actually providing it.
Thank you. Councillor Berta Brooks.
Get that straight. The process of reporting the business requirements that they are requesting in this competition or in this assessment will prepare a small business to upscale by making them financially ready and process ready. So if they've done all of that work in making this application, it gives them the tools by doing the process. So I certainly agree with you that we should be rigorous in making sure that they can provide some training or direct people to training that can give them these business skills. Because it's not about having just a weekend hobby. This is about a business. So providing those skills very important, and I think that's a super condition to put in. But I would hate to think that it would restrict someone from doing that. So maybe we need to be able to facilitate directing the NCCI into being able to show people where they can get some funding to support them in getting this training, because I'm thinking that this training may even be an off-site training or a contractor that comes in to provide some business skills training to people who might not already have those sufficient to fill out the sort of application that they're demanding. So, and that funding is available for small and medium businesses. But yeah, so that might be a function of the Shire to do that. I don't think that needs to be a condition, but just something for us to be aware of when we're feeding back to them.
Thank you, Councillor Britta Brooks. So as per the screen, Councillor Lockyer, Councillor Bear, are you happy with that as the mover and seconder, first and foremost?
Sorry, I just want to go back. Am I able to go back to what Wendy said? I think considering the amount of money that we're going above to give them that training, I think that is our role done, I believe. Like in that sense, I think that should give them the tools to be able to go and sense check the process with their, I guess, memberships and also the community. And I do believe they did have training for business owners prior to nominations this year. So there was a portion of it done, but I just think it wasn't done as thoroughly. So just to that point around the Shire sort of putting on additional, I think we should have done ours if we were to support this sponsorship, our obligation to NCCI, I believe.
Yeah, that's very fair. How aware of you are you of any businesses that might have been offered that training, haven't taken up the training, and then complained anyway?
So I know that, yeah, there's definitely one very vocal business owner that has done every single training that is offered and still found it hard. So additional training would be worthy, and if it's under this additional funding then or request that they've asked for, then I'm sure that's everything we can do.
Excellent.
I'm happy with those amendments.
Thank you.
The wording.
Thank you, Councillor Lockyer. Councillor Bear?
Yeah, also happy with the amendment.
Excellent. Is there any more comments from councillors? Okay, so item 12.1.4 as written on the screen is what we're voting on right now. That council approves the principal and request of NCCI sponsorship of $10,000 cash for the New Business Excellence Awards, subject to the adoption of 24-25 annual financial budget. And 2, that the sponsorship be conditional on the NCCI providing evidence of the necessary training and support that will be provided to applicants for the awards on the use of the application platform. Thank you. 8-0. Item is carried. We move on to 12.1.5, the roadwise councils. As presented before you, the opposite recommendation reads that Council 1 declares its commitment to improving road safety in the district of East Pilbara, 2, supports enrolling as a roadwise council, and 3, authorise the Chief Executive Officer to appoint 2 primary points of contact for the road safety matters. Can I please get a mover? Councillor Britta Brooks, thank you. A seconder? Councillor Lockyer. Would the mover like to speak?
Yes, I'd just like to commend this action. Roadwise is operated by Walga and has direct contact to the Main Roads Department and Department of Transport in streamlining and making sure that funds are going to the right place in looking after road safety and road maintenance. So signing up to this is a very good idea.
Thank you, Councillor Britta Brooks. Councillor Lockyer.
No, nothing to add. I think it's a very good move for us.
Okay. Likewise, any other comments? Should now put 12.1.5, the roadwise councils, to the vote, please. Eight for and none against. 12.1.5 has been carried. 12.2.1, the monthly financial statements, insurance and investment reports for September 2023. The council adopts the monthly financial statements for the period ending 30 November 2023 for the 2023-2024 financial year, included as Appendix 1 to the report. Can I get a mover, please? Councillor Everett, thank you. Seconder? Councillor Bear. Councillor Everett, do you wish to speak?
No, thanks.
Thank you. Councillor Bear.
No, thanks.
Any other councillor wish to speak? We shall now put the monthly financial statements, 12.2.1, to the vote. Unanimous, 8-0. Item is carried. The next item is 12.2.2, the list of payments for months ending 30 November 2023. As presented before you, the opposite recommendation reads the Council authorises the list of payments to credit as Appendix 1 to this report as follows. For the month ending 30 November 2023, the type EFT payments $7,674,352.36. MasterCard $27,000, $27,669 and 54 cents. Cheque payments of $523.95. Direct payments of $176,892.78, which is a total of $7,879,438.63. Can I please get a mover? Councillor Bear, thank you. Seconder, Councillor Lockyer. Would the mover like to speak?
Yes, can I please ask, obviously this is the first time the financial's been presented in this way, so previously I haven't sort of been aware of the total fuel spend under Dunnings, and it's in alphabetical order, it's on page 97. One of the transactions or one of the line items is for $107,952 worth of fuel. Are we storing fuel off-site elsewhere? And is that filling like a tanker or, because that seems like a really extensive amount for one line item.
So I'll refer that to the Director of Infrastructure.
We just have the Bowser in the depot, and we have the Bowsers out at Milligan depot and Marble Bar depot, and then we buy fuel and take it sometimes to the outside crews doing the bush crews, but not necessarily from Dunnings. So I can only think that was a bulk bill payment.
Okay. And is that fuel spend, I mean obviously we don't have, but is that fuel spend typical per month or is that?
I think 50,000 litres is pretty reasonable for earthworm.
Oh, did you do the math? I did.
Well, ultimately, yeah, $2 a litre. Sorry, like $2
I
a
didn't
litre.
reverse engineer it, I just, yeah.
We'd be lucky to get it for $2 a litre, but I think 50,000 litres is pretty
Okay,
reasonable.
thank you. That's all, just because we haven't seen it in this format before. so
Sure,
I
yeah.
Sort of picked up on one of
I
those.
reckon that's reasonable.
Yeah,
President,
it's very reasonable,
Thank you so much.
considering the price of fuel's $2.15 in Port Hedland.
I think you're right. It does appear to be a lot of amount, but when you look at it, good questions. Any further ones, Councillor Bear? Nope. Councillor Lockyer.
No, I'm good.
Thank you. Any other councillors? Excellent. I shall now put 12.2.2, the list of payments, month ending 30 November 2023 to the vote. Carried 8-0. 13 committee reports. There is nil for this meeting. 14 motions of which previous notice has been given. There is none being received. A late notice of motion is to be considered at item 16. 15, question by members of which due notice has been given. Notice of the following questions was given by Councillor McWhirter-Brooks and circulated in the late agenda. What business continuity insurance does the Shire carry, particularly with the reference to the closure of the Recreation Centre, please? The response from the Acting CEO is that the Shire expects it should be able to make a claim for losses arising from the forced closure of the Newman Recreation Centre LGIS property policy, which you then have elaborated on. Thank you very much. Are you satisfied with the response that you received, Councillor McWhirter-Brooks?
Indeed I am, thank you.
Thank you very much. Item 16, new business of an urgent nature introduced by decision of council. Items have been circulated to council members. Item 16.1.1 is a report resulting from a motion brought by Councillor McWhirter-Brooks regarding Pilbara Country Zone requests to Walga. Item 16.1.2 is a report concerning the closure of the Newman Recreation Centre. Item 16.1.3 is a report concerning a budget amendment to accept grant funding won by the Shire. And item 16.1.4 is a report regarding consideration of a submission lease of land, Newman Airport. I move that council consider item 16.1 and 16.1.1 and 16.1.2 as new business of an urgent nature immediately. Is there a seconder, please? Councillor Lockyer. Would you like to speak on that, Councillor Lockyer?
No, I approve.
Thank you. Any other councillor wish to speak on that before I put it to the vote? We shall now vote on that. 8-0. We are carried. We'll bring them in. 14, motions of which previous notice has been given. As mentioned from Councillor Brooks, 16.1.1, notice of motion, Pilbara Country Zone request to Walga, that Council requests the Pilbara Country Zone to request that Walga, 1, investigates built infrastructure owned by West Australian state government entities that is operated by local governments. 2, reports on the known intentions of the state government entities and local governments to transact the sale, purchase of those properties. 3, reports on the financial sustainability of these properties. 4, considers an advocacy policy position on state-owned local government-operated properties. Are you moving this motion, Councillor Brooks?
I am, please, President.
Thank you. May I please seek a seconder? Councillor Anderson, thank you. Councillor Brooks.
Thank you. Sorry. Thank you very much for agreeing to discuss this motion. This motion is actually a direct result of our own experience and reflection on how this impacts on the sector. So when I say the sector, I mean all of local government across Western Australia. In my role on the State Council, we're all given a policy committee to sit on. I sit on the Infrastructure Policy Committee, so this will come to that committee should you send it up to the zone and the zone agrees that we should forward this through to State Council. It first goes to a policy committee that is relevant to the issue, which is the Infrastructure Policy Committee. They will then look at it, decide if it is a matter that we should be considering and putting state resource into, and that will be governed by the priorities of WELGA as well as the impact on local governments across the state. From there, they will write either an advocacy paper to it, or they will create a policy position. They'll create a policy position, and then there will be advocacy that comes out of this. So there are lots of building across the state, from the bit of research I've done in the last week, to say that the state owns all sorts of things: swimming pools, they own recreation centres, halls, or there is all sorts of things that the state owns, and then shires operate. When they close them, it's an interruption to shire business. So that's the first one. The second one is when these buildings get old, state government will often offer it to the shire at a peppercorn rate to buy, as we have with the government building in Marble Bar. So we can see some advantage as a council. We saw some advantage in doing that, so we're progressing with that. Where it might be our recreation centre or a hall, there's significant investment then to go in to make that into a piece of infrastructure that we can use and will benefit our community. So I think it's important that across the state we know where we stand, and then WOLGA is in a position to support us very ably when it comes, and all councils, when it comes to dealing with infrastructure that has a problem. So, and it's also an opportunity for the East Pilbara to show that we are thinking about things that happen statewide, and we're a contributor. So I want us to be seen by government that this has come through from the East Pilbara, so that when we put something up to the minister, say, hey, fund our youth centre, they'll go, oh, they're actually thinking about how this affects everybody, not just give money here to East Pilbara. Thank you, Mr. President.
Thank you, Councillor Brooks. Councillor Anderson, as a seconder.
No, thank you.
Any other comments, councillors?
I just wanted to ask a question. What do you think would be the uptake of support, knowing, like, through your position, if this was to go through to the Infrastructure Committee? Yeah.
So initially it will go to the zone.
Yeah.
The indication that I have so far is that there is some appetite from zone members because they have buildings that are in a similar condition, that they are operating state-owned buildings, and they just like to know a little bit more about where they're at and know that they've got some some support. So the obligation here is to prepare a paper to the zone. From there, the zone will refine that paper to send through to State Council, and from then on, from zone onwards, it's all WOLGA's business, so we have no resource to input into that. And for me to be at WOLGA and travel to Perth, whatever, WOLGA pays for that. Our shire doesn't pay for that. So we get a win by getting our voice down there, although I'm representing all of the zone, and then like we do at council, we represent the whole shire. I'm supposed to talk, make decisions based on the whole state. But there's always that local lens in what you're doing, even though you are making that decision across the whole state. So in terms of financial obligation, there is none to our shire. In terms of appetite in our zone for this to happen, I expect that should be, that's my expectation. It hasn't been tested yet, but we'll take that.
No, my question was more so just around the idea of having them look at the infrastructure across the state and what's owned and that, not about our actual implications.
The indication that I have is that there will be an appetite for it. I tested it at PDC the other day and people were saying, yeah, that makes sense because there is a lot of, and that's from a state government lens. So PDC, you're thinking about how state is operating and developing the economics of our region. They said, well, there should be an appetite for that. That was, the anecdote that came out of that.
Thank you. Any other comments? I think if I can just add, thank you for bringing this up. It's interesting speaking to our local member on this. He's also a strong advocate for the state giving back these items. So there must be several. I would assume we've got two. We used to have three. So I'd say that there'd be many others across the state that we probably need to understand their intentions and what they want to do with it, and ensure that we're advocating from that point of view that they probably need to put some cash into it before anyone's going to take it on, because you'd be silly if you were to do that, unless you can seek the correct funding. So thank you very much. We shall now put item 16.1.1 to the vote, please. And we've got 8 for and none against. It is carried. 16.1.2, the Newman Recreation Centre closure. As presented before you, the officer's recommendation reads that Council 1 authorise the Shire President to make urgent representation on behalf of the Shire to the Honourable Dr Tony Booty, MLA, Minister of Education, and to the Honourable Sue Ellery, MLC, Minister for Finance, seeking the works on the Newman Recreation Centre to be expedited in order to allow for the rapid restoration of service and the access to the facilities for the Newman community, and 2, authorise the Chief Executive Officer to prepare the necessary correspondence. Can I get a mover, please? Councillor McWhirter-Brooks. Seconder, Councillor Everett. Thank you. Councillor McWhirter-Brooks, would you wish to speak?
I have nothing to add, thank you.
Thank you. Councillor Everett.
Yeah, nothing further, thanks.
Thank you. Any other councillor wish to speak? We shall now put 16.1.2 to the vote. 8-0. The item is carried. 16.1.3, the Budget Amendment Grant Funding Application. As presented before you, the officer's recommendation reads that Council 1 accepts the offer of the grant of $98,970 from BHP under its Social Investment Grants Program, and authorise the Chief Executive Officer to sign the grant agreement to accept the funding. 2, pursuant of Section 6.8 of the Local Government Act 1995, amends the 2023-24 annual budget as detailed in the late agenda.
Sorry, can I please put through a declaration of conflict for me? Sorry, I didn't realise
Yeah.
until you said the words. I'm so immune to it.
Yep, me too. 'Cause
Apologies.
Yeah. So we need a mover to that motion, please. Move Peter Bear, thank you. Seconded Councillor Cooler. That the council accept the offer of a grant of $98,970 from BHP under its Social Investment Grants Program, and authorises the Chief Executive Officer to sign the grant agreement to accept the funding. And part 2, pursuant to Section 6.8 of the Local Government Act of 1995, amends the 2023-24 annual budgets as detailed in the late agenda. I have a mover and a seconder in Councillor Bear and Councillor Cooler. Would the mover like to speak towards the motion?
Just to say that it's pretty exciting to see, looking at what the grant's actually going for, trailers, speakers, sporting gear and portable generator. That's really going to uplift those East Newman activation activities. So, awesome work.
Thank you. Would the seconder like to speak to the motion, please?
always happy to accept any funding.
Does any councillor wish to speak against the motion? No, thank you. In that case, I shall now put this to the vote. So I think we have everyone except me. Annabelle, can you push, or David, can you push my green button to accept that motion, please? Thank you. We have 6 for and none against. That is carried.
Yeah, I know. I'm so frustrated.
Joshua, you're hopping. Right, hope you set me up for success here. Item 17, yes? Yes, excellent, thank you. Confidential matters behind closed doors. Councillors, may I please have a move and seconder that item 16.1.4, the lease over land, Newman Airport, consideration of submission. 17.1.1, East Pilbara Independent Services request for in-principle agreement to extend lease. 17.2.1, award tender RFT 04-2023-24, supply, install or construct buildings Nullagine Aquatic Centre. Of the agenda be dealt with behind closed doors in accordance with section 5.232 of the Local Government Act 1995. Thank you, Councillor Beer. Seconder. Thank you, Councillor Anderson. Shall now put that to the vote.
May I just speak? Is not, if these are items in the 16s, is not the item 16.1.4 to go behind closed doors as well?
That was listed in, he did say 16.
Oh, sorry, my apologies, I missed it. Thank you.
Thank you. That was, my first one, but that's okay. That's good. Thank you for the query.
Quickly move that we swap the order so that we don't have to go out of the room and back into the room, and so put 16.1.4 at the end. Is that?
For those ones
Yep.
that have to.
Yeah, because there's a declaration of interest, so 2 people will have to leave the room if we can just.
Sure. No worries at all. Do that. So to go behind closed doors, we'll Thank you. There is no members of the public. Council has made a decision relating to the confidential items considered being 16.1.4, the lease over land, Newman Airport consideration of submission. 17.1.1, East Pilbara Independent Services request for in-principle agreement to extend lease. 17.2.1, award of tender RFT 04-2023/2024, supply, install or construct buildings, Nullagine Aquatic Centre. These decisions shall be incorporated into the minutes of today's meeting and published on the Shire's website for our community and general public to be confirmed at the 15th December, no, January, February. February. Do we have a date? No. 23rd February. Stitch up, right in the last sentence. Ordinary council meeting. 16, the date of the next meeting, which we have correct, is the 23rd of Feb 2024 at Newman Council Chambers. Item 17, closure. There being no further business, I now declare the OCM of 15th December 2023 closed at 11:42 a.m. I'd like to thank council members and staff for their attendance. I wish everyone a safe and enjoyable Christmas and New Year, and look forward to welcoming you all back in 2024. Thank you. Yes.